Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Well, today we're tackling a question that's been weighing on a lot of minds, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Is the U.S. economy headed for a crash?
Big question.
It is a big one. And we've been poring over insights from some of the leading economists and financial experts out there.
A lot of reading.
A lot of reading, a lot of numbers. And I got to say, some of it's pretty alarming.
Yeah, I can imagine. What's got you worried?
Well, for one, this whole thing with BRICS.
Ah, yes.
It feels
BRICS.
like it's signaling a pretty major shift in the global landscape.
For sure. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're banding together.
Right, and they're not just talking about playing nice, they're talking about creating a whole new trading system,
And potentially even a gold-backed currency.
which, could really challenge the US dollar's dominance.
Absolutely. It's a direct challenge to the way things have been done for decades.
And, it's not just talk. The dollar's share of global reserves has actually dropped
Oh, yeah.
from 73% in 2001 to 58% today.
That is significant.
It is. So what does all this mean for, for us back home?
Well, for starters, if the dollar weakens, we could see inflation here at home. Things could get a lot more expensive.
Exactly. And speaking of things that could hit our wallets pretty hard, let's talk about debt. Global debt is projected to hit $100 trillion this year.
Yeah, and the U.S. national debt, pushing 36 trillion.
It's a lot of zeros.
It's hard to even comprehend numbers that big,
It is. So what happens? What happens when a country can't pay its debts?
Well, it's not pretty. Think about it like a family that's maxed out every credit card they have and then some.
Yeah.
Eventually, something's got to give.
Right.
The U.S. could end up spending more on just the interest on its debt than it earns in revenue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which could lead to cuts in all sorts of essential services, put a strain on things like Social Security, healthcare.
Makes you wonder what the Fed's doing about all of this.
Right. They've been raising interest rates to try to get inflation under control.
But it doesn't seem to be working as well as they hoped.
Yeah, we've even seen them cut rates recently, but interest rates are still higher than they were before the cut.
Right.
So it's making some people wonder if the Fed is, kind of losing control of the situation.
Losing control, huh?
Well, there's also this thing about bond vigilantes.
Bond vigilantes, what are those?
These are like powerful investors, and they're watching everything the government does very, very carefully.
Okay.
And if they lose faith in a country's ability to manage its debt, they start selling off that country's bonds.
So they can actually influence how much it costs the government to borrow money.
Absolutely. And when they sell those bonds, it drives up interest rates, makes it even more expensive for the government to borrow money.
And that puts even more strain on the economy.
Exactly. And right now, some of these vigilantes are getting pretty nervous about the U.S. economy.
Not nervous, huh? Like, what's got them spooked?
Well, even Stanley Druckenmiller.
Druckenmiller.
Yeah, legendary investor. He's made a massive bet against the U.S. bond market.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty big deal.
It is. It's like a 5-alarm fire to those who are paying attention.
Yikes. So that's BRICS. That's the debt crisis, the Fed struggles. And then we have financial expert Peter Grandich.
Right. Peter Grandich.
She's laid out 10 worrying trends.
Yeah.
10.
He's basically saying, hey, look around, folks. The warning signs are everywhere.
Like a perfect storm brewing.
Well, we're talking about a potential retirement crisis, crumbling infrastructure,
Right.
the rising cost of natural disasters, deep political divisions. It's a lot.
And let's not forget, 2/3 of Americans are already living paycheck to paycheck, and credit card delinquencies are going up.
It does feel like the ground is already pretty shaky for a lot of people.
It does.
Yeah, it really does. It feels like we're kind of standing at a crossroads here.
It does, with a lot of uncertainty about which way things are going to go.
A lot of paths we could be headed down.
A lot of paths. And the big question, of course, is, are we headed for a recession, or are we already in one?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer is it's not exactly clear-cut.
Right.
But you look at the signs, rising credit card debt, people struggling to pay for even basic necessities.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got the potential for job losses, businesses starting to cut costs.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder. It really does.
Yeah.
And even if we're not technically in a recession right now, I think you can't deny that the economy is definitely slowing down.
Right.
And a lot of people are feeling the pinch.
Yeah. Which brings us to, another potential trouble spot. The stock market?
Ah, yes, the stock market.
Goldman Sachs. They're usually pretty optimistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're predicting that the boom years are over and we're in for a period of much, much lower returns.
Yeah. Things are shifting, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what does that mean for someone who's, relying on their investments to grow, to, help them retire comfortably, all that?
Right. Well, it means they might need to adjust their expectations,
Mm.
and maybe adjust their strategy a little bit. If you're hoping for those big returns that we've seen in recent years, well, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment.
Right.
And this is especially important for, folks who are nearing retirement. Or maybe they're already retired and they depend on their investments for income.
Mm-hmm. So what can people do to prepare for, I don't know, this potential economic upheaval?
Yeah.
It's making me a little anxious just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's understandable. I mean, when things are uncertain, it's totally natural to want to protect yourself, your family.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things you can do is focus on what we call capital preservation.
Capital preservation.
Uh-huh.
So that means like making sure I don't lose the money I've already got.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. In times of uncertainty, it's often wiser to prioritize not losing money over chasing those big gains.
Right.
Remember Peter Grandich's motto?
Less is more.
Less is more. And this isn't just about financial decisions either. This is about maybe embracing a simpler lifestyle, reducing your reliance on all the material things, focusing on what really matters, what's truly important.
It's like hitting the reset button, kind of getting back to basics.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, Warren Buffett,
Mm-hmm.
one of the most successful investors of all time, right?
Yeah.
He's been building up his cash reserves, holding on to a lot of cash instead of investing it all right now.
Really?
Yeah. So that might be a good strategy to consider, especially when things are uncertain.
So it's like having a financial safety net.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you that flexibility to, I don't know, kind of weather the storm, maybe even take advantage of opportunities that might come up, during a downturn.
Precisely. You want to be in a position of strength, not scrambling to catch up when things get tough.
Right, right. So we've talked about BRICS, this looming debt crisis, the Fed's dilemma, Peter Granich's warning signs. It's a lot to digest.
It is.
What I'm hearing is don't panic. Be prepared.
Absolutely. You got it. Knowledge is power. And understanding what's going on, what's happening in the world, that's the first step to making smart decisions.
For yourself, your family, all that.
Exactly.
So besides simplifying our lives,
Yeah.
focusing on capital preservation, what else can we do to stay ahead of the curve here?
Well, if the traditional financial systems are changing,
Right.
it might be time to start thinking about alternative investment.
Oh, like what? Like cryptocurrency,
Gold.
gold. This always seems so mysterious to me.
Yeah, they can be. And it's important to do your research, understand the risks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they could offer, potential opportunities to diversify, to see some growth outside of the traditional stock market.
This is about expanding our options, thinking outside the box a little bit.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's also about, investing in yourself.
Oh, okay.
What skills do you have? That could be valuable, in a changing economy. Are there any new skills you can learn that would make you more adaptable, more resilient?
So it's not just about money. It's about our own personal growth and development as well.
Absolutely. And perhaps most importantly, stay informed. Stay informed.
Right.
The world is changing so rapidly, and the more you understand about these changes, the better equipped you'll be to navigate them. Don't be afraid to question assumptions.
Right.
To think critically about the information that's out there.
Right. It's like being a detective, piecing together this puzzle of the economy and how it all fits together.
Yeah. Like we're all just trying to find our way through this financial maze.
And the map keeps changing.
Exactly. The map keeps changing. But hey, the good news is we're all in this together, right?
They are.
We're all part of this big global economic ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
We can learn from each other's experiences.
Yeah.
Share our insights.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the potential for a U.S. financial crash, what are some of the key takeaways you want our listeners to walk away with?
Well, I think the most important message is that, while there are some real challenges ahead, right?
Yeah.
Understanding those challenges, that's the first step to making good decisions.
It's not about panicking.
Yeah.
It's about being prepared.
Exactly. Being prepared. And being prepared means having a plan, diversifying your assets, building some resilience in your life.
It's about being adaptable, being resourceful, being willing to embrace change.
And remember, there are always opportunities, even in times of uncertainty.
Yeah. If the traditional systems are changing, maybe it's time to think about what new systems we can create,
Right.
what new ways of building wealth, of finding financial security, might emerge from all of this.
It's a time for innovation. It's a time for creativity. It's a time to reimagine what the future could look like.
This deep dive has given me a lot to think about. What's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I'd like them to consider this. What if this period of economic upheaval, it's not just a crisis? What if it's a catalyst for positive change?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. A chance to kind of hit the reset button, maybe build something better than we had before.
What if it forces us to rethink our priorities, to simplify our lives, to create a more sustainable and equitable future?
It's a challenge, sure, but it's also an opportunity, and that's a powerful way to look at it.
Yeah, it is. So stay informed, stay flexible, stay curious, and remember, even in the face of uncertainty, there's always hope.
There's always hope.
This has been an intense deep dive, but hopefully a helpful one. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more you understand about the forces shaping the world around us, the better equipped you'll be to navigate them. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep. Until next time.